Where's Vanessa? We need answers!
When Vanessa Guillen disappeared in April, her family and friends protested outside of the Army base where she was stationed, Fort Hood, demanding the Army do more to find her. Her remains were found a few months later. Police say another soldier bludgeoned her to death, then dismembered and burned her body. He killed himself as police were moving in to arrest him. Her family said she was being sexually harassed, but was too afraid to report it, and it turns out she wasn't alone.
What we found was that there was a fear of retaliation, all forms of retaliation, stigmatism, ostracism, career, derailing a career, assignments, work assignments, and that sort of thing.
Chris Swecker led the investigation into the base and found rampant problems with sexual harassment and assaults. In the last 4 years, there have been more than 150 non-combat related deaths at Fort Hood, including 7 murders and 71 suicides.
A data scientist who helped build Florida's COVID-19 dashboard later lost her job, fired, she says, because she refused to manipulate data. Now her home has been raided by state police who showed up with guns drawn.
Police, come down now!
It's a terrifying police raid on a whistleblower's house.
Outside. Who else is in the house, ma'am?
My 2 children and my husband.
Where's your husband? Calm down. Calm down.
You want the children down?
Calm them all down.
Rebecca Jones, a scientist who says she was fired by the state of Florida for refusing to downplay COVID-19 data, says she couldn't believe cops with weapons drawn came bursting into her home.
Mr. Jones, come down the stairs, now!
This is just a very thinly veiled attempt of the governor to intimidate scientists and get back at me while trying to get to my sources.
This is what happens to scientists who do their job honestly, she posted. This is what happens to people who speak truth to power.
Acá termina esta agua, ¿por qué? Vamos.
Sekarang pemakaman sudah penuh, yang tersedia kemarin untuk COVID 2 hektar sudah penuh sekitar 5.000 lebih pemakaman untuk khusus jenazah COVID-19. Pemerintah mengalihkan pemakaman ke TPU Tegal Alur, Jakarta Pusat. Terus di sini yang tersisa tinggal unit Kristen, tinggal sekitar ya 60-an lah sisanya yang untuk unit Kristen. Itu diumumkan tutup sekitar tanggal tanggal.
Supporters of a hardline Muslim cleric have been killed in a police shootout near Jakarta. The cleric in question, Rizik Shihab, was due to appear at a police station near the Indonesian capital. He was to be interrogated following a violation of COVID-19 restrictions last month. The shootout happened at midnight on a highway around 50 kilometers from Jakarta. Police officers were tailing a group of Shihab supporters. As they got close, the group started attacking the police with guns. A shootout ensued and 6 of the 10 supporters were gunned down. 4 of them escaped, and the police has now issued an ultimatum to Rizik Shihab to obey the law or face further action.
one of those so-called cruises to nowhere, a much-hyped cruise trip with no destination port to keep with travel restrictions, has apparently backfired because a COVID-19 case was found aboard one from Royal Caribbean and has now forced nearly 1,700 passengers into isolation. The cruise, which was only open to Singapore residents, was meant to be sailing just off the city-state and planned no stops. Now the Quantum of the Sea ship has been forced back to port, authorities said. All passengers had cleared a mandatory test for the virus up to 3 days before the cruise started on Monday. But an infected passenger, an 83-year-old male, had reported to the onboard medical center with diarrhea, and passengers were told of the infection early on Wednesday.
Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader, has slammed South Korea's foreign minister for her recent comments on the regime's anti-COVID measures, saying she will, quote, pay dearly for her words. In a statement released by the North state-run news agency on Wednesday, Kim also warned that already icy inter-Korean relations could even get worse. Last week, Seoul's top diplomat Kang Kyung-hwa told a forum in Bahrain that the North has been unresponsive to the South's requests for cross-border cooperation on COVID-19. Kang also said the North's claim that it has had no COVID-19 cases should raise eyebrows.
New tonight, we are learning the pilot who died in a small plane crash in Galveston today was trying to get control of the plane when it suddenly started moving forward during maintenance at Seoul's airport. The FAA tells us the pilot jumped into the plane, but the aircraft went airborne, flew over the West Bay and crashed in a neighborhood in Hitchcock. It landed right in front of the home of an ER nurse who called 911 and rushed to help.
I grabbed my mask and I went out to the plane to see if I could give CPR. But upon going to the plane, the wreckage was too bad and he was not alive. So I stepped back and waited on the police to get here.
Investigators have not released the identity of the pilot.
The former Israeli space chief, who created a flurry after claiming that aliens do exist and that they are in touch with world powers, has also claimed that US presidents, including Donald Trump, knows about them. 87-year-old Haim Ishid, who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years, said, aliens are secretly in touch with America and Israel, but they do not want to alarm humanity with their existence, and that is why they chose to remain elusive. Ishid said the extraterrestrials mean no harm and that they have an agreement to move secretly. According to a journal that published Ishid's interview, he said, the aliens have been waiting for humanity to evolve and reach a stage where we will generally understand what space and spaceships are. Ishid has also claimed there's a galactic federation of aliens and that their cooperation with the US includes a secret underground base on Mars.
Deputies busted more than 100 people at a massive underground party over the weekend, and they vow more arrests to come. The massive raid took place at an event deputies are calling a super spreader party.
That's right, and sheriff's deputies say the event was the work of an underage party promoter. CBS News' Jeff Nguyen with more.
The LA County Sheriff's Department shared this image of more than 150 people arrested during what has been called a massive underground party in the Quartz Hill neighborhood of the Antelope Valley.
Against that wall right there, there was kids just sitting across the whole thing almost.
Neighbor Carlos Cordero says young partygoers jumped his wall to try to get away from deputies during the raid, which seized weapons and ammunition. Most of those rounded up were minors.